use the hashtag, quote the space. I don't know what I've done to Elon Musk. I've done everything possible to make sure that the comment section is opened, but unfortunately I don't know why it is not open. But there's one good story about this whole stuff. The comment section not being open for the past 7 weeks. I'll say thereabout for the past 7 or 8 spaces we have held on this platform. We have always trended the topics, and I've always trended the hashtag also. So guys, I need you guys, all of you in the building, to please get more people in the house. Because what we're about to discuss here, I think the informations that you're going to be hearing here today are informations that everybody needs to listen to. Everybody needs to share in this conversation. It is one very big conversation, a very touchy one, because I would say we have grown this platform to be one. People call it echo chamber. I'm proud to say yes, it's a chamber of I'll call it an echo chamber of like minds, of people that are looking for a better country, or people that share ideologies. Everybody's free to come on the platform, but you always know that this platform is not a platform that will give you that chance to come and peddle lies or false narratives. And that is why it is one space that you go on other spaces they talk about. It is one space you go on other spaces they are always angry about this space. Violence space this, violence space that. And me, I don't go in that space. Actually, I have God has been so faithful to me that I have obedience in my DMs. They go on these spaces, they record these spaces, and they send it to me. The sound bites, and I'm always laughing. So, guys, it's been an amazing journey with you guys for the past couple of months. Honestly, I see all our regulars in the building. All of you guys, at the moment the space just gets scheduled in 2 minutes, over 100 people are in the building already. I'm just like, wow, you guys are amazing. Thank you for always supporting this platform. Thank you for always supporting the brand. Thank you for always standing up to the truth, because for me, if there's anything big that I know that we have as a people, is the truth. And when you have the truth standing next to you, you have nothing to fear. The truth is the greatest weapon any man can possess. And this platform is that platform that we always say the truth, no matter how you feel, no matter how no matter it touches you, no matter it hurts you, the truth will be said on this platform. That is what we do on this platform. So, guys, thank you very, very much for always coming on our spaces. I see all our regulars. I don't even know how to start calling all your names right now, but thank you so much, each and every one of you. Thank you one more time, and let us get into the business of the day. My people, this is the platform where we'll be dissecting today the criminal, the terrorist in hiding called Simon Ekpa. I don't know why all of a sudden a non-entity, a nobody wants to come in and throw sand in our garri. And he doesn't know if he pours sand in our garri, we go chop him. We will eat that sand, we will eat it, we will still drink that garri. So we're here today to discuss on key issues, very, 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 very delicate issues. For me, I can go on a journey right now on this topic, and I think I will speak for the next 1 hour. Because for myself, I saw this stuff grow. I saw this stuff take the shape it has taken today. And I believe, I don't want to sound like a prophet, but I think I know where it will end. So I'm doing my own part as a Nigerian, play my own part as a voice that God has given me to be able to amplify and let you guys understand. Because so many things you hear on this space today might not favor you. You might not like what you will hear. You might not like what you will hear from people here. But please understand that whatever we're saying here today is to the best of our knowledge true. I'm going to come down straight to the topic right now. I'm going to start with this man called this movement right now, this agitation that has grown to be a monster. I wanted to play a song, but I felt like I played you guys 3 songs. I said, let me just keep the 4th one. The monsters we have created. And when I say we have created, I'm not keeping anybody off this. Everybody has their fair share of the blame to take. But I'm going to start with the people that the responsibility of the security of the lives and properties of the people lies on. The government. Prior to the year 2012, I don't think I would say because I'm not going to go back and give you guys my history, but I know 2012 I was active. I was active in the political space, but very, very, very just on a low scale, family politics and everything. And I knew when Radio Biafra came out and the whole rhetorics that were being spewed on that platform. And if you're an Igbo man, there is one thing you can never take away. And I'm going to say this because Nigerians should understand this, that we are a nation with nations in it. This is one fact everybody here knows. We have 500 nations. To me, I'll say this. Sorry, yeah, 250 ethnic groups. So 250 nations in Nigeria and 500 languages. We are freaking big as a country. And we are all united under one platform called Nigeria. This is the truth. We have histories that we can look back to our histories and say, how did we come together? What happened? This one, that one happened. I'm not here to focus on how and where, but I'm going to try and go as far as possible to why we are where we are today. The agitations of Biafra, as an Igbo man, every Igbo person has that inclination to Biafra. Same way every Yoruba person has the inclination to the Yoruba nation. Arewa, the same thing. You go to the Thieves, the same thing. Every of us, we are drawn down to the fact that we come from somewhere. We represent something. That is the fact about Nigeria. But the moment people begin to use the sentiments of your region to begin to deceive people, begin to run amok, run narratives that are contrary to really trying to help the people, then there's a problem. 2012, Nnamdi Kanu emerged from nowhere and started preaching Biafra. And I saw videos because when I was having discussion with people, I said, I used to see videos of Nnamdi back when he was pro-government. And all of a sudden, 2012, he started rising up pro-Biafra in UK, having his stunts, doing this, doing that, having a radio station. And I sat down because I sat down with my colleagues and we're having this discussion. We're like, do you know what it takes to set up a radio station? We wanted to set up a radio station, violence radio station, and we had to go online because of the dynamics, because of the cost, because of everything that it takes to set up a radio station that will be transmitting in Nigeria, transmitting from the UK to Nigeria. It takes a whole lot of logistics. It takes a whole lot of financing. It takes a whole lot of effort. There are a whole lot of things behind that man calling Nnamdi Kanu that you don't know. So if you think he stood up one day, set up a radio station by himself, started broadcasting by himself, started doing this, then believe me today that the Niger Bridge that was built today, I built it. If you think that man does not have financing, I don't know where. I'm not going to come out and tell you that he has who financed him, who this. I'm not going to say what I don't know. But the modalities involved in setting up such a structure cannot be done by one unknown man. Who are behind that man, I cannot say. But he set up a trend and he set up a seed. He planted a seed in 2012 that has germinated to what it is today. The reason why Jonathan Goodluck lost that election was he lost barely less than 2 million votes. And for many of you that are not aware of what happened in 2014, 2015 elections, was that there was a freaking huge voters apathy created by Nnamdi Kanu in the Southeast. Those that know what I'm saying here will come out here and say it today. Jonathan could not muster much votes. There was no insecurity in the Southeast. There was none. There was no reason why people won't come out and vote in the Southeast. But why was there a huge voters apathy? Somebody laid that foundation. Who was that person? Nnamdi Kanu. And entered who? Buhari. Buhari came up with his whole sentiments of 97% and 5%. You don't expect me to share this country. You saw the whole nepotistic tendencies, the whole nepotistic appointments, lopsided appointments. You saw everything this man did, everything he did to divide this country. A man that you know you're coming into as a president, we're expecting you that you're going to harmonize the country, unify the country. Yes, you have a problem. Some people did not vote for you. Yes, we understand all the sentiments. But as a president, you're the president of every region, irrespective of whether they voted for you or not. Every Nigerian under you. You are the father of the nation. But you came in at your first international interview, you say that you don't expect people that gave you 97% and those that gave 5% to be treated equally. You further divided the country. You went extra forward and amplified the voice of that crazy man that have been screaming in the wilderness, Nigeria is marginalizing you, Nigeria is marginalizing you. You gave power to his rhetorics. You empowered him. I don't know if it was planned. I won't say that. I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to lay bare to all of you the facts. How we got to where we are today. And all of a sudden, you turned a hero out of a nobody. This same man condemns rhetorics. I told Nigerians that he's coming back to Nigeria. Advertise he's coming back. What did you do, Buhari? You went and arrested this man and turned him all of a sudden to an overnight hero. Arrested the man, locked him up. All of a sudden, protests started breaking up around the country. A once peaceful region, the most peaceful region in the country, all of a sudden started gaining agitational weight. You launched Operation Python Dams, sent the army to the region, killed a whole lot of innocent people that had nothing to do with this movement, that had nothing to do with the whole agitation, killed people. Just a few weeks after killing people in Zaria, you launched Operation Python Dams and killed people. Nigerians closed their eyes like they did not hear what happened. We closed our ears to everything. We never, ever looked at the plight of these people that went through these sufferings. You raised monsters. APC, and I was now thinking, I'm like, okay, if I'm trying to be a very, very, very controversial person, or let me take the conspiracy part, because probably I know my brother Omar coming from that angle. I want to take the conspiracy part and say, if you know, I know right now that I'm coming out for presidency, and I know that the middle belt will not vote for me, and the middle belt will always vote in block. They will vote in block. What do I do? Starting now, for the next 2026 elections, 2027 elections, how do I stop the middle belt from bringing that block vote for my opponent? I will plant the seed now. They planted that seed. For me, I'm saying this, APC planted the seed of insecurity in the Southeast right from 2015 against 2019 elections. And yielded fruit. And you now go on and start checking all the gubernatorial elections. Every of the gubernatorial elections, IPOB will come out and say, no election, no election, no election. Few weeks, few months to election, no election, no election. 1 or 2 weeks to election, they will say, okay. People can go and vote. Consistently, they have been doing this. Consistently, they have been doing this. And I begin to wonder, because so many people here on this place will be sympathetic to the struggle. Everybody have a right to agitate. Everybody. I'm not going to come out and say that you don't have a right to agitate. No. But the key actors that are leading you on agitation, do you know, are your intentions right with their intentions? Are you guys on the same plate? Are you fighting for the same thing that they're fighting for? These are critical questions that we as a people did not ask ourselves. And enter Nnamdi Kanu, enter the whole stuff that happened, enter how they turned this man to be a hero. All of a sudden, we started hearing about Ruga. I'm trying to share so many lights for you guys to understand where we're going to before I yield the mic. Ruga. Fulani herdsmen invading farmlands across the country. In stepped the Southwestern government, the Southwestern governors. And what did they do? They raised the Amotekuns. Do you guys remember? Amotekun stood up. Amotekun started fighting. What do the Southeastern governors do? Nothing. The people were being butchered in the bush, their bushes, butchered in the forests, being killed. Nothing was done. What did this so-called hero do? When the people that are meant to stand up for the people refuse to stand up for the people, anybody that picks up his voice and speaks for the people turns to a hero. Incoming Nnamdi Kanu one more time, the savior of the East. What did he do? He formed his own militia that went into the bushes and started fighting these bandits, pushing them out of the forest, and became a hero overnight for the people. And the people hailed him. The people called him names, called him hero, called him all sort of names. He got a godlike reception in the Southeast, created by these people in power. Everything that happened in the Southeast today was enabled by the government of today. Every freaking thing. So when I come out here and I'm trying to chastise Nnamdi Kanu for the role he has played, Simon, this little small nyash now, Simon Ekpa, for what he's trying to feel like, I want you guys to remember that the bulk of insecurity started, was groomed, was raised, was nurtured, was fed by the inadequacies of the APC-led government. Prior to 2015, we only had insecurity in the Northeast. Today, it is everywhere. And you start hearing them say, Pt1's base will be affected by the elections. We have local governments right now in the north, in the northwest, in Zamfara, over 6 local governments. You can't even visit there. You have to pay bandits to enter those places. You don't hear them say that it will affect anybody's elections. You guys understand the game that is being played here. And before I yield the mic, let me just talk a little bit about Samuel Ekpa, because I'm not going to say much. I'm going to allow everybody to come up here and contribute. Say what you want to say. I'll yield the mic to my brothers. I just want to talk about this cycle called Simon Ekpa, and I think today is the day that we send him out of the social media sphere. Today should be the day that he ceased to exist on social media, both Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Today is the day we seize his breath on social media. Today is the day that we make sure that he is a non-existent player in this stratosphere. I can hit my chest and say 100% that he is being paid, he is being mobilized by the APC-led administration. When I mean, sorry, not AP, I mean APC #1 candidate right now. Because there are so many things you hear today, and I'll let you understand that he's working in tandem with the governor of Ebonyi State, who is a Vuvuzela boy for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And if there's something I always tell you guys on this platform is that do not underestimate Tinubu's tendencies to build, to be pragmatic, to see things. Tinubu has been planning for this presidency since 1993. I dare say it. He has been planning, he has been scheming, he has looked at the country, he has seen where he's going to fail. You think Muslim ticket is because he's a Muslim and he wants Muslim? No, he said he has calculated the whole game. Now here I go fail, oh. Now here I go win, oh. Now here I need vote, oh. Now here I no one vote from, oh. Now here I go cancel, oh. He has done this fucking game in his freaking body. He's a chess master. This is what's been playing right now. Tinubu understand what he's doing. Tinubu is freaking behind this man called Simon Ekpa. I can bet my chest and say that. If you don't believe me, no wahala. Good evening, my people, and welcome to the Violence Space, and you're welcome to my early morning venting. My early evening venting is very, very cold out here. It is like -5 degrees Celsius where I am. So I'm just trying to rise up the temperature of the room. I see all of you that have requested for the mic. Before I do that, let me just give the mic to my brothers, N6 and Omar. Thank you guys very much for always coming out on this space. You know how I know the sacrifices you guys make to be up on the space with me. It's not something I take for granted. Thank you very much. You know me. I have plenty. For me, I can host this particular space today. As they do my belly, as they do me like belly, I can talk for the next 10 hours, bro, because I have so many things to say. But let me allow you guys come in here because I know you guys have been cooking too. Good evening, N6, and good evening, How are you doing today, N6? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Omar, good evening. Saddam, good evening. Good evening, Violence Space family. Please buy me about a few minutes, Omar, so you can give your opening submission. Good evening, everyone. God bless you all.
Good evening, N6.
Yeah.
Good evening, Saddam.
Omar, correct guy. Welcome, bro.
Welcome,
I bet just buy me a few minutes, so give your submission. Let me just get myself.
It's
Cheers.
all right.
Correct guy.
A very good evening to you from this part of the world, and thank you for taking time to join us on today's episode of your biggest political space on Twitter, the Violence Space. It's always a pleasure doing this with my brothers, Saddam and N6. My name is Omar. Now, you see, following 2 coups that had deepened Nigeria's ethnic tensions, approximately 30,000 Igbo civilians were killed across Nigeria in September 1966. Now, on the 30th of May, 1967, after extensive consultations with the Eastern Assembly, Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu declared the Republic of Biafra as an independent state. Now, on the 6th of July 1967, the Nigerian military government of Yakubu Gowon initiated what it called a police action against the Republic of Biafra. And this led to a war that lasted for 2 years, 6 months, 1 week, and 2 days. And it ended in a Nigerian victory. The breakaway state was integrated back into the country. And despite the no victor, no vanquished mantra of the Gowon administration, the Igbos were systematically made to pay for their attempt to flee the pogroms that led to them forming their own country. Now, till today, only a deliberately disingenuous person will deny the evident political marginalization of Igbos in Nigeria. Since Thomas Aguiyi-Ironsin's brutal murder in that counter coup of 1966, Nigeria has never had an Igbo president or head of state. The war is a sensitive topic in Nigeria, I know that. And many people would like to pretend like it did not happen. So there's no epitaph or memorial for the victims of the war. And it's no surprise that over the years, many non-state actors have done their best to whip up the emotions of people in the Southeast. From Ralph Wazurike of the Movement for the Actualization of the Sovereign State of Biafra, MASOB, to the currently incarcerated leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Just as it is with every non-state actor, the ranks would often break when there is no central leader. And that has led to the emergence of another merchant of emotional sentiment, a fomenter of violence, Simon Ekpa. Now, in the past, the IPOB has campaigned against elections in the Southeast. I remember that very well. But in this electioneering season, they've made it clear that they will not be interfering in the process. So why is an expelled member suddenly calling for a 5-day sit at home and a boycott of the elections? I know what you might be thinking, and I'm thinking along the same lines. These are all the trappings of the country's most evil political organization today. I'm not going to come here and mince words. Saddam says I'll come from a conspiracy angle. I don't think this is a matter of conspiracy. I think it's just being able to see things the way they are. We've developed the culture of silence over the years as a nation. But there are times when the truth is staring you in the face and there's no point in denying it. 2 days ago, the leadership newspaper broke the news that violence may disenfranchise as many as 11 million people in the Southeast. What makes it even more curious, ladies and gentlemen, is that for all of the violence that has been raging in northern Nigeria for over a decade, disenfranchisement has never been a problem in that part of the country. It is fascinating that in the Southeast, without a single IDP camp, the region is suddenly prone to massive disenfranchisement of up to 11 million people. Guys, let's not deceive ourselves here. Look, it is visible to the blind and audible to the deaf that the finest, most competent and capable candidate on the ballot is His Excellency Peter Obi, an Igbo man from Anambra State. I'm speaking to you as a Yoruba man, so forget anything that you're thinking here. And I'm telling you with maximum confidence that 80% of Nigeria's political class are not fit to lace this man's shoes if you use the metrics of integrity, competence, capacity, and verifiable track records. Which begs the question, why would a man from his region suddenly agitate against elections? Why would Simon Ekpa, a man who claims to be speaking against the marginalization of the Igbos, suddenly want to prevent the people of the region from voting in an election that has a strong possibility of dealing with that marginalization problem? The answer is not far-fetched, my people. Simon Ekpa is a fifth columnist, most likely working for the demonic political organization currently holding the nation to ransom. A formal complaint, I've seen it, has been sent to Finnish authorities. His Twitter account has been massively reported, and I've gladly contributed to that. Now, you see, come 2023, nothing will stop the people of the Southeast from exercising their constitutional right. And by God, they shall vote wisely. Once again, my people, welcome to the Violence Space. My name is Omar. I'll yield the mic to N6 if he's ready. And if he's not, I can circle back to Saddam because there's a lot to talk about on this particular subject. Saddam, I find it very funny that you might. Okay, I think six is ready. So let's go.
Continue, brother. Continue. I'm ready, but
Okay.
continue.
No, you can go ahead. It's fine. I was just going to buy time for you.
All right, then. Everybody, welcome to the Church of Violence. We appreciate all of you for being here. You can be anywhere in the world, like my mentor Jay-Z said, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. I just want to drop a few words. Saddam and Omar have done justice to this topic. I can see Dr. Jeffrey Gotterman here, and I remember that on the space with Simon Ekpa, Dr. Jeffrey was luckily one of the only people Simon allowed on that monologue of his. And it saddened my heart that Dr. Jeffrey, with even just a slightly more knowledge on the Nigerian issue, could have asked Simon so many questions that would have exposed him. So let me just give you a quick rundown. Nigeria has about 200 plus tribes. Nigeria has reportedly likes to promote that 3 tribes are the major tribes in Nigeria. The tribes are the Hausa, the Yoruba, who occupy the west, the Hausa, who occupy the north, and the Igbo, who occupy the east. There are certain tribes within the middle belt, within the south, but let's just work with this. Now, they have had historical issues, and at some point in Nigeria's history, killings were taken out on the Igbo people. The Igbos went back home and declared a state of Biafra, literally saying that they wanted to break away from Nigeria and form a country called Biafra, akin to the Catalonian struggles of a certain portion of Spain. Certain countries have these issues. Now, what happened sadly in the Nigerian state was that a genocide was committed upon the people of Igbo land. It was not a war. When you employ means of warfare that by the Geneva Convention, I repeat, Nigerians killed more Igbos, millions of Igbos in that war, by starving them of food than by bullets or by the metal, what we call metal, bullets, bombs, and projectiles in the military. Now, this is something that even in the war happening in Ukraine, you don't employ such tactics because you end up killing more civilians and children than actual soldiers, which is what happened. During this week, a discussion came up where a young lady tweeted that she found a TikTok handle of a Nigerian girl who claims to be Igbo, but she's from Gabon. It led me to do a lot of research, which I posted on the timeline. It went viral that day. About 50,000 Igbo children, abandoned, orphans, picked up randomly on the road, were transported out of Nigeria during the war just to save their lives. Kwashiorkor was high amongst the Igbo race, and a lot of people died of that during the war. It is reported that 5,000 children alone were airlifted to Gabon. 5,000 children. There are so many. My family has a portrait, and in that portrait, more than 70% of the men in that picture died in that war. My family alone. My family has a portrait where more than 80% of the children in that picture, we don't know where they are. It's on record. Every Igbo family is affected. And I'm not talking about a war that happened that the generation of that war is dead. It is literally my father and my mother, 70-year-old and 60-year-old and late 50s, were involved in this genocide. It is on record to be Africa's bloodiest civil war. On record till today. Now, such a people will have sentiments towards that particular point of discussion, especially for a country that never reintegrated them, respected them, or showed any form of remorse or had any form of civil discussions post such a conflict. It is sad that till today, these sentiments still exist. A lot of coups happened in Nigeria, but it's only the Kaduna Zogu coup that is considered an Igbo coup. We are waking up now to understand that the BBC media at the time played a lot of evil games. But we thank God for the kind of media we have via social media, where when things are said at the formal side, we can then come on the informal media and have discussions. Now, as Omar also gave you history, the IPOB agitation has always been like the Catalonian agitation. Protests on the streets, a lot of higi-haga, but never any violence. Never any violence. Under Ralph Wazirike and the rest of them, it was always a minimal skirmishes at worst. In steps a vlogger, a YouTuber, a protester, and what I'll call a crackhead activist, Nnamdi Kanu, and it all went to shit. I repeat, it is the same thing the Igbos are suffering with IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu. It's akin to what Islam is suffering with terrorism. Let me explain. If you have a tribe of 20 million people, and only 1% of that tribe believes in a secessionist agenda, 1% of 20 million people is about 200,000 people. 200,000 people is a lot of people and can cause a lot of problems. That is what the Igbos are going through. The majority of the Igbo tribe, I dare say 85 to 90%, do not support this. What you see are the ragtags. They know where they go and where they make these recordings to look like they are being supported. They go out with pump actions, machine guns, bullets, bombs, grenades, and go into a market. Why won't the people clap? Considering you want them to shoot the whole place up and nothing will happen? I'll also give you another angle to the Simon Ekpa discussion. If you follow me to the book of Google, Beautiful People in the Church of Violence, I'll read you something that will blow your mind. Google the words IPOB, election, denial, and a lot of interesting things will happen. The first thing you will see, IPOB denies plans to disrupt the 2023 elections in the Southeast, 9th of October 2022. The IPOB yesterday denied reports and says they have no plans to disrupt elections anywhere in Nigeria, least of all in the Southeast. October 2021, IPOB, we didn't call for boycott of Anambra elections. We are uninterested in 2023 polls. IPOB denies involvement in attacks on INEC offices. IPOB denies reports to withdraw call for Anambra election boycott. This is 2027. So on record, IPOB has said a lot of things. IPOB has used their chest and accepted a lot of violence and a lot of chaos where they have caused it. But there's one thing IPOB beats their chest and swears by from 2017 to 2022. We do not have any hands in election, chaos, and we do not support it in this country. So why is it that a breakaway arm of IPOB called the Autopilot, led by Simon Ekpa, always plans to disrupt elections in the Southeast? Omar brought up an interesting angle. With all the chaos, with all the bloodshed in northern Nigeria from Boko Haram to bandits and everything, why is it that there has never been a media report as scathing as the one that came out on
Leadership
August of 2020 stating that insecurity may disenfranchise 11 million voters in the Southeast? Insecurity has never disenfranchised 11 million voters, quote unquote, in northern Nigeria. These are serious manipulations of the media to put out reports to cause voter apathy, to put out reports to cause fear in the East, for people to not come out and vote for their son. The disrespect that Igbo politicians have collected for a while, the good ones, I'm not going to call the rascals, has been surmounted with what I've seen under Peter Obi. Everything has been thrown at this man plus the kitchen sink in an election where he's clearly, physically, mentally, and judiciously in all angles the winner and the most credible candidates. All of a sudden, Simon Ekpa gets up. Remember, when Simon Ekpa made an announcement when we were having the rallies that there should be no rally in Imo State, if you remember, that morning Obedience came out, and there was a huge successful rally in Imo State. So I want to draw an angle for you that there are so many times Simon Ekpa makes statements and there is no bloodshed in the East and no violence to show you that he's not respected. But when it favors the APC, all of a sudden, bombs and guns go off. When Nnamdi Kanu was caught and this sit-at-home started, sit-at-home was only for days where Nnamdi Kanu was to go to court. Everybody remembers. When Nnamdi Kanu goes to court to show solidarity, everybody in the East sits at home. Most times he used to go to court on Mondays. All of a sudden, Nnamdi Kanu won't go to court. Simon Ekpa drummed sit at home on Mondays. And the whole of Igbo land, one of the highest commercial areas in the country, started operating on a 4-day working week. And it was emphasized with violence. Sit at home had never had violence employed to it when Nnamdi Kanu was to go to the Supreme Court. Now we are here. This man has more than enough proof that he has led to bloodshed, anarchy, and chaos in Igbo land. Please, those of you who are dragging him via the legal process, I commend you. I can only do my best and report. As a fellow Twitter user, I commend you. Please, I beg of you, push this case to the highest. Lest this man gives us a name, a bad name that we will bear for eternity. God knows being Igbo is hard enough as a Nigerian and in Nigeria. Please, I beg of you, Simon Ekpa is a parasite that must be uprooted. Enough of these fallacies. Enough of these false statements. The APC is a terrorist organization, and that is why under them Nigeria has been terrorized the most. And if you think that you are in a region that has not faced any terrorism, I will read you reports of terrorism in the last 2 weeks alone. There have been attacks on people on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. There have been attacks on a church in Owo. Barely 3 months ago, where 40 people were slaughtered in cold blood. The Southwest is on red alert. There have been attacks in South Nigeria. Expressways in Calabar, Bayelsa, Yenagoa have been attacked. People have been kidnapped. The South, you have been put on notice. All your forests have been occupied. There were Google imprints last week alone. The youth of Warri and Sapele gathered together to go into their forests in their region and chase out every unwarranted person in there. It is that serious. If your region thinks, oh, let's laugh at the Igbos at this point, the Nigerian army is already far stretched. And I promise you that our army cannot handle skirmishes and guerrilla warfare in all areas of the country. Dear Igbos, this is a cross we must bear because, in all honesty, we let this grow. There are several of us that can beat our chest and say we didn't. There are a majority of us that can beat our chest and say we didn't contribute to it. I never supported it. I never support arming non-state actors. But we must bear this mantle ourselves because Muhammadu Buhari is not interested. He considers us a dot in a circle. Left to him, will be treated in the language we deserve, whatever that means. Please, I beg of you, let's take Simon Ekpa serious. APC has failed in security nationwide, and we must arise as Nigerians and do our best to shut down these discerning voices, especially voices that are targeting the elections of next year. Go to Simon Ekpa's tweets. The only political candidate he has condemned, he has cursed out in his rabid frenzy is Peter Obi. He sees no problem with Atiku Abubakar. He has no issues with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The only person he has condemned, cursed out is Peter Obi and the Obedient Movement. It's time we take that man serious. I will read you his tweets in my next submission just to show you that it is only Peter Obi on record that this demon has a problem with. I yield the mic at this point. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. Welcome to the Church of Violence. God bless you all. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you
A
very much,
significant
my
chapter
brother.
of this country's history is the Nigeria-Biafra War that raged between 1967 and 1970. This war was fueled by Nigeria's complex ethnic configuration and made headlines around the world for the major famine in the secessionist enclave of Biafra, prompting major international relief. It was said to be the world's first televised war, and the haunting images of starving children caught in a civil war shocked the world. Millions around the globe witnessed the large-scale devastation that ensued in the war-torn region. It is estimated that between 1 to 3 million people died, mostly from starvation, sparking a massive humanitarian crisis. In this video, we look.
Now, you see, before I bring back my brother Saddam, sincere apologies for interrupting. It must be very hard being an Igbo man in Nigeria, to be honest, because after such a brutal war and after just glossing over it and pretending like it never happened, you still see situations where people gaslight people of that region and taunt them with issues of that war. You gaslight them in the social circles. You practice obvious nepotism towards them. And then you still do your best to hire fifth columnists amongst them to truncate the electioneering process in their region and disenfranchise them massively, giving them no chance to make a decision that pertains to the larger discourse of the country. That's cruel, in my opinion. And I'm saying it with my full chest as a Yoruba man. It's cruel.
It's downright evil.
It's evil. It's dark. It's the darkest form of political machination. And as a nation of 200 million people with a lot of diverse ethnicities, it's about time we understand that injustice to one is injustice to all. They'll come for everybody one day if we continue like this. Certainly, it will get to a point where the level of marginalization in Nigerian politics would break the nation down. And that's where some people are willing to take it. They don't mind being the king of ashes, but we will not let them. Saddam, thank you.
My brother, thank you very much. You know, when we were playing that clip here, I just wanted, I most times, I look at it from a different angle. When we were playing that clip, I make excuses for a whole lot of this older generation of Igbo men. Why I make excuses for them is because of what they faced. You see, majority of these billionaires you see today that are Igbo men, majority of them that you see in their 60s now, in their 50s now, in their 60s, in their late 70s, majority of them were kwashiorkor patients in their youth when they were kids. Majority of them, my dad fought that war as a 19-year-old boy. There were people that were as young as 13 years when in the war, where they were brought into the war. 13-year-old soldiers, child soldiers, given sticks to go and fight Nigerian army. There were so many people. You see this generation of, that's why you see many of this older generation of people, politicians, they're not even talking. You now wonder, why are people not supporting Peter? Why are these older men not supporting Peter? Many of them are suffering from PTSD. If they think about their childhood. I have an uncle that is a freaking billionaire right now. He was a fucking kwashiorkor patient. Then they find salt. Lizard lost for the Southeast. Lizard. Then chop lizard. Do you understand? So it was that bad. So when you see my late dad was on his sick bed passing days, whenever the radio, I'm tuning the radio for him, and by mistake Radio Biafra comes up, the way he has, the hatred he had for Nnamdi Kanu before he passed on, he was like, off that radio. It was any small thing. He said, do these people know what war is? Do you know what we saw? See, when he was shaving, he said, you see shrapnels, as in you see marks of bombs. Those young guys saw hell. So when you see all these men in their 60s now, 70s now, they're not saying much about anything. They just, inside their heart, they're always remembering those days where they could not, those 2 horrible years of their lives, what they passed through, what the Nigerian state did to them, what they passed through as a people. So I understand, but that's why most times I don't make it. When I see people say, why did I just say, people will not understand. I don't want to make excuses for them, but those guys saw hell. Many of them, their parents, everything they labored for. Before that war, I did a trade, I think my last round before it got pulled down, about Ojuku's father. Ojuku's father was once the richest man in Africa. Sir Louis Odumegwu Ojukwu. Bodulon that Tinubu is making noise right now. Ojuku's father once owned Ikoyi, VGC. Ojuku's father's car, Ojuku's father's Rolls Royce was the Rolls Royce they used in driving the Queen of England, Elizabeth, when she came to Nigeria. Ojukwu's father Ojukwu's father started Nigerian Stock Exchange, NSE. Ojukwu's father started that freaking stuff.
It is said that they didn't give him house on Body Lawn, so he built his Sanfield Queens Drive and blocked Body Lawn from seeing the ocean. Because
he did.
His house is the house that is the High Court. It was seized and Nigerian government used it as High Court till I think a few years ago when it was released to the family. It's that serious, Saddam.
So when we begin to talk about things here and what these people sacrificed, you understand why many of them are quiet right now. They can't say anything.
Saddam, do you know that post-war, post the Civil War, there was a federal government move to change the currency in 1968.
Yes.
And suddenly, it rendered Biafran currency non-convertible and useless in international markets.
Thank you, bro.
And you see, they had a policy, and I'm not proud to say this, but one of the greatest Yoruba politicians of all time, he played a huge role in the 20 naira policy, that the 20 pound policy, rather. Yeah, the 20 pounds policy that they just subjected the Igbos to after the war. So I totally.
Omar, you see, that's the thing. In southwestern Nigeria, Abacha is a villain. In northern Nigeria, Abacha is a hero. In southwestern Nigeria, Awolowo is a hero. In southeastern Nigeria, he's seen as the genocidal, non-military government official who suggested the starvation. In northern Nigeria, certain people in the south, the Kensarowiwas and the rest, might be considered traitors of the Nigerian state. In the south, they are seen as heroes. So you see, these are the discussions Nigeria must have. Do
you know that there was a day on the violence space? At this point you mentioned, there was a day on the violence space here that we were talking about. I think I mentioned Kensarowiwa. I think it was on the People's Parliament. I can't remember. Zari Yusuf came up, and it was like he debated against, in support of what happened to Kensarowiwa.
Yes, I remember that.
You get me?
I remember,
yeah. And Zari is an amazing fellow, no prejudice whatsoever. We really do run two nations, if we want to tell ourselves.
Omar, let me not come in here. Let me not come in here with NSAS. Remember when NSAS broke out? And one great thing I always thank God is that I'm privileged to say in 37 states in Nigeria, I have been to over 30. I have lived, I have moved, I have associated with virtually almost all the cultures. I can come out and say that. And I grew up and I spent time with a whole lot of these places. So I can come out and say right now that what is prevalent to you as a problem in the southwest is not what is prevalent to us in the north. So while you were protesting for NSAS, and that was why when Dati came out and said, made that answer about NSAS, and people were asking, I said, you don't understand that we are different nations in a big nation. NSAS is not a problem in the north. I spent close to over 15 years of my life in the north. I never had gunshot once. One time I never had gun shoot. I did not. The first time I had gunshot was when I went to the east. So you see that you cannot tell a man now that he's suffering. It's just the same way that you're in the south and you don't understand what the bandits, what people are doing living in IDP camps. You don't understand that feeling to live in IDP camps in the south. You guys understand that. That is the reality of some people right now in Nigeria. So we have different problems that are prevalent to us as a people. So we cannot always now box all our problems and say the same thing. While Biafrans were suffering from Kwashiorkor and the rest, people were partying in Lagos every day.
Saddam, do you know that one of Nigeria's finest writers, somebody that I admire so many of his works, Cyprian Ekwensi, there was a day I came across a video on the internet, and if you permit me, I'll play that video, where he was selling plastic bottles after the war.
Biafra will be welcome for a long time. That's true of some civil servants as well. Decree 46 makes it very likely that about 100 of them, men like Cyprian Ekwensi, will not get their jobs back.
Mr. Ekwensi, I suppose you're a classic example of how are the mighty fallen. You were Director of Information for the federal government and for Biafra, and now here you are selling plastic bottles around the country. What's it been like for you?
Well, I don't regard myself as an example of the mighty fallen, if that's the classification. The real thing is that at the end of the war, everybody started from scratch, and nothing was too menial for anyone to do in order to raise the most difficult commodity to find at the moment, which is money. And it takes a certain amount of courage to be able to do what people do not expect you to do. And I think I've proved the point. I have proved that I can do anything. And many people regard me as an example of the Igbo man who can do anything in any circumstance to fight against any desperate odds.
Oh my, you understand, bro? That is why, and that's why when I look at we the young Igbo ones, we the young as in generation that did not see this war, that did not fight the war, that the generation both sides from the east to the north to the south, every generation that did not witness what happened that period, we are a generation that we should really go back to history because they did not teach us history in school. We're not taught many things in school, so many people are just living off the fact that I'm on a cruise. That's why
obviously there was a deliberate attempt to remove certain parts of Nigerian history from
well, but it had to be removed.
Murtala
If that
Muhammad,
history was not removed, how would
if we had
Buhari
history, Omar, if we had history,
power?
Murtala Muhammad would not be on the currency today.
Yes, we wouldn't have an international airport named after Murtala Muhammad.
And see, do you remember that at the end of the Justice Oputa panel, after that sitting, do you remember that one of the recommendations that they made was that three individuals should never hold public office in Nigeria anymore? Ibrahim Babangida, Abdulsalami Abubakar, and of course Muhammadu Buhari. As a matter of fact, Buhari never appeared at the Oputa panel, not once. He never responded to them. So you see, when we ignore history, when he became president, he hardly responds to anything. He doesn't pay attention to what Nigerians were saying. During NSAS, I got to a point where we were literally begging him just to give a speech. And when he came out to give a speech, he gave the speech of a completely disconnected person from the reality of the country. And it shows that he doesn't even care. He sent out a warning, and what happened? We saw the massacre at Lekki Toll Gate. A lot of people continue to live in denial that did not happen. But if you ignore that, you remember as well that when he first came into power in 2015, just about 6 months after, 300 sheikhs were massacred in Kaduna and buried in mass graves. It's available on the internet. You can check it out. I have the clips.
Bro, after that massacre in Zaria, few months later, that's when he launched Operation Python Dance in the East.
In the East. I remember very well. Operation Python Dance. I saw a video today. I wanted to use the clip when I was researching.
I was on the East that period, bro.
I couldn't watch the video.
Omar, let me explain something. This is how easy it is to wreck a region. Kashim Shettima is running with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let me give you a fictional story of how Nigeria ends up in issues. Tinubu might double-cross Shettima, or Shettima might double-cross Tinubu, whatever. Before you know it, let's say Shettima becomes president. There are actually people who agitate for Yoruba nation. They are online. But because it's not your sphere of discussion or interest, you probably wouldn't be interested there. Let's imagine the president of Nigeria just picks one random guy that is agitating for Yoruba nation and just starts replying him and just makes an issue of this guy over a 2-year cycle till this guy becomes popular. You're just there wondering, but this guy has been there since now. He was there under Jonathan. People used to ignore him. He would just be yarning his dust and people ignore him. But when the just started, this is how easy it is. Before you know it, they send soldiers to the guy's village when his father died. Killed like 30-something guys in the village. And before you know it, your region is on fire. That was how... Look, ask any Igbo person. That was what happened. That was what happened. Masob. IPOB has not even done half of Masob. But that was what happened. And this is how easy they almost did this thing with the Niger Delta. If not that Yaradua was a detribalized northerner, if we had brought in one of these hardliners around the Yaradua period, they would have what they might have done was just kill Tompolo. Or, just reply Tompolo or one of those boy loaf guys to a point that you make them a celebrity or like
Asari Dokubo.
Or Asari Dokubo. Just keep replying Asari. Just keep replying him. One day, just send soldiers to Asari's house. But the day you send them, let them just kill like half of the people in that local government. Watch what will happen.
And you know that there was a comprehensive reintegration program for those Niger Delta militants.
My brother, let me blow your mind. I used to work in a record label. Then that was very big. We had about 3 studios, everything. I don't know how it was arranged, but a bunch of militants, like 20-something of them, were sent to us. We were paid to teach them music production.
Can you imagine?
I don't know how the Oga of the label arranged it. It was a Niger Delta boy. They will come to us. They were in a hotel in Lekki. We were paid. I was paid. We were all paid to teach them. Whatever was your interest. Some of them were flown abroad. The
Many
government
of them
went that
were flown
far.
abroad. You would
Many
find
of them were
in
flown
so
abroad.
You will
Many of
find
them were
them in
flown
so
abroad.
many countries around Europe. I've met guys like that they'll tell you I benefited from that. Most
Yes,
of them,
now,
they do maritime courses. They're in
people don't like
Ghana.
to discuss it, but that was how cultism, a lot of cultism was exported. It's another discussion for another
It's
day.
another discussion for another day, and
For
that's a
totally
very,
other
very,
day.
very delicate angle. Saddam,
I
at
yield
what
at
point do you
this
think we
point.
should open the floor now?
Yeah, I think we should open the floor now. But guys, if you're up here on the speaker, we see all of you requesting the mic. We're gonna bring all of you up. Thank you for sticking with us. Please, your hands should be up. Let's take a cue. Please retweet the space. Let's get people up. Also, our space is being streamed right now live on our radio station, the Violence Radio Station. You can just go on the website violencespace.com. Just check on the website there. Up the column or down, you can scroll from the front page down to the bottom of the front page. You see the radio link. You go click and press play on low data. For those that are not on Twitter, please get people involved in this conversation. I think today should be the end of this. We should put an end to the reign of all these political state actors. Before I yield the mic, I just want you guys to remember something. Ever since Peter came out on Labour Party, the first person they used to attack Peter in that Labour Party, na Igbo man. Remember?
Ekpa.
Yeah.
No. They brought one faction.
Some
Labour
light
faction. I
skinned
can't
guy
even
like
remember
that.
the guy's name.
I can't remember his name. I think some light skinned guy like that. I remember.
Thank you. He created his own faction of Labour Party.
I remember the guy.
Thank you. So all the key actors are busy.
Was it Ibe Kachuku?
No.
Okay.
That early days, they used somebody that was, they have always been using people from Peter's region to come against Peter. And that's how they're going to play till the end. All I'm saying here is that, guys, the Southeast are going to come out en masse to vote. That 11 million votes will come out in favor of Peter. There will be no fear-mongering. Whoever you think you are, you control you control those terrorists that are working for the government. The people will come out en masse and deal with people that day. Remember, we're telling you on this space. Igbos will come out en masse and vote massively. It will be a massive vote for Peter come 2023. Remember, we're telling you on this space today. Guys, if you're from the Southeast in this place, go and start telling your people back home. We're not buying into their fair rhetorics. That time has passed. If you survive May after May, you don't die. APC will still kill you. So it's better you even go out and vote and die than to wait for APC to kill you with hunger. Thank you very much. Oma, back to you. Guys,
I want to ask you a
go ahead,
question.
please.
Oma, I want to ask you guys a question. At this point, do you think two people, Nnamdi Kanu, is working with the government? Do you think Simon Ekpa is working with the APC or has collected money from the Tinubu administration to disrupt this election? Question one.
Let me pick my words. Okay.
Or question two. Do you think that obviously a tribalized person like Muhammadu Buhari, clearly after what happened with his statement, on what he wanted to do in the East, and then when Nigerian youth said, yeah, you can have your military plans for the East or whatever to stop these problems, but the diction, the statement you made is genocidal at worst or at best, and he banned Twitter. If you remember, it was this same issue that led to the Twitter ban.
Yes.
So I ask again, do you think these people are working with Buhari? Or is Buhari just like, okay, cool, this is a beautiful way to scatter this region, and is then using their agitation and capitalizing on that? Both for Nnamdi Kanu and for Simon Ekpa.
Yes, now I think I'm going to pick my words carefully in this one. Now, you see, in Nigerian politics, you have to have a very critical view of things in order to be able to put the dots together. Sometimes it may sound like a conspiracy theory, but you see, when you put 2 and 2 together, it becomes 4. It's not rocket science. It's common logic. Now, in the case of these two guys, we didn't have the Kanu thing. There's a video of him that I have here protesting in London. I remember against... just hold on a minute. I want to answer your question because I've been working on this, and it's very surprising that you brought up that question. Protesting in London, Nnamdi Kanu, then I think he was a real estate agent. And when you look at, the Simon Ekpa thing and how it's continued, the connection between both, for me, there are so many angles to this thing. There was the issue of the Biafra National Guard at some point. I have a video of those ones too. Who comes up around the election period and they will say no election in a certain region. So what I'll say is that obviously there's some very heavy political involvement here, and it's well coordinated. That's one thing I know. It's well coordinated if you look at the timing. The timing never fails. It comes around the election time. And when you look at the amount of resources these people are able to put together, for instance, Saddam mentioned the idea of being able to run a radio station from England all the way to Nigeria. That is no mean feat. Do you understand what I mean? So if you look at it, it's almost impossible for any individual or even a group of people, no matter how wealthy they are, to be able to pull off the coordinated attempt that has looked like it's centered around destabilizing the region. That's my own idea.
Because look at Nnamdi Kanu is from Abia State. He amassed a huge following. He says the Nigerian state is evil, is this, is that. The Igbos should break away from Nigeria. But Nnamdi Kanu has been told, suggested by Igbo leaders, that use this following you have. Run for political party.
Exactly.
Run, for political power in the East, especially in Abia State where you're from, where it will be a walkover. Get power, change things in Abia State, or use this movement anytime there's voting. Let's say there's voting in Anambra and the people are supporting Soludo. Use this movement like what we are doing with the Obedience. Break down all the candidates and say, this is the person we trust, and become a huge political voting bloc. He has been advised on so many ways he can actually become politically powerful. But he never follows it. If
he had followed that part, IPOB would not be the proscribed organization that it is right now.
IPOB could have been
a powerful
new
political
age
movement
IPOB could have been a new age or Haneze, but he never followed that. Rather, he told Igbo youth to destroy their voters' card, which was another huge evil that man did across Igbo land, which is leading to why a lot of Igbo youth and people in Igbo land have to go and collect new PVCs in this our push for go and get your PVC drive. He has done so much damage. Yes, my brother. The damage
that is the major reason why I say that's the major reason why I say Nnamdi Kanu
is a government agent.
He's a state actor. Because let me tell you something. The power you yield, there's no the man is. I remember what we were discussing. I said, Nnamdi Kanu is a very, very intelligent man.
You know
we've all listened to him.
There is nobody that can come out and say Nnamdi is not intelligent. Nnamdi does not think.
Every time you call him a state actor, I want to correct you, but now it just dawned on me that you actually know, like what you mean is actually a state actor.
Bro, the man is a state actor because the power this man, the power he had across the Southeast, that people were submissive to him, the youths, he already gotten that trust of people. I was expecting, what you guys were saying, I was expecting that he would have turned that power to say, okay, right now, let us capture the Southeast with votes. Let us make sure that every governor, every House of Rep, every senator, to the least position are people that are sympathetic to our beliefs, to our cause, to everything we want, to better our society. Then from there, you cannot push this your referendum or anything you want to push. If 72 senators from the Southeast or House of Rep members, sorry, I don't even know how many numbers come from the Southeast, sorry. But let's just say right now, let's say let me give 3 senators per state in the Southeast, and if 15 senators from the Southeast come out in the House and say, we want referendum, there will be a united voice in the Southeast, knowing that all these politicians are sympathetic to the IPOB cause. And if you are not sympathetic or you go in there and you misbehave, after 4 years, these same people that voted you into power will remove you. That was the power Nnamdi Kanu had that he threw away. And for you to throw away
Saddam, the Southeast has 109 senators, my brother.
Okay, my brother. 109 senators or House of Rep members, are you sure? Please check well. Whatever the number is.
Google says how many. Okay, no. Okay, no, that's Sorry, okay, no, that's how many senators are in Nigeria.
In Nigeria,
Sorry,
109
I'll
years. So
follow
I
up
think
for
the
you.
Southeast should have
I'll follow up.
it should be like 15 or so thereabout. I think three per state, depending on how many central region are in the state. But look at the power he would have used to change the whole movement, because there's no way you can come and say referendum, break up. Are you saying break up? Are you saying you want another war? Are you saying you want to put a region that is still suffering for the effect of a war over 60 years, 50 years again to war? There was no sense in that. So sensible minds have sat down and said, okay, this man is saying what he's
The
saying.
first time we went to war with a military general and lost. And you're neither a military general nor hold any strategic positions, and you want to send your people to war again. Does it make sense?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So I'm looking at it and say, but you already, God, oh my goodness.
Saddam, one thing I don't understand is, okay,
man, shit. Go on, bro.
One thing I don't understand is, I mentioned something earlier. I found a video of this guy protesting in England. See, at some point, I can't remember. I think it was during Jonathan's government. It was pre-2015.
That was 2011.
Huh?
It was that 2011. I know this protest, but go and play it.
My name is Eendears-memorial. This is why we're here today, is to protest the killing of innocent women and children and men all over Nigeria, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. We are not happy. We are not pleased with what is happening, and that is why we're here today. As you can see, there are a lot of Nigerians who are protesting about the killing of families, people who are determined to tear the country apart violently, and it is not something that we support. It is not something that we would like to see continue, and we are here today to send a clear message to the Nigerian government, to the High Commissioner, that what is happening in the country is unacceptable, and we cannot accept it.
So what changed?
He was an activist.
He was an activist.
Always was.
He was an activist. I said money changed hands. Money changed hands, and he said then he was the reason why there was a voter apathy in the Southeast under Jonathan. This man caused. I was in the Southeast. Radio Biafra was playing everywhere.
And here he was actually protesting against Jonathan's government.
Yes. He was an activist for his message. He started in 2010. He was an activist for till about 2014. We now the first suspicion that
2012.
He
2012. He started. 2012. He started IPOB.
Yeah, he started IPOB 2012. He started this thing about 2009, 2010. It blew around 2011 when he started the radio. IPOB was 2012.
I remember Chickstar. This guy, Chickstar, used to talk about him then, and they call him Onye Nkuzi. They call him the teacher.
Yeah, Onye Nkuzi.
They used to complain so much about his rhetoric.
Yes, if you come to the East that time, they'll be playing his radio station. He will just talk shit. It was almost like this thing. They'll tell you, oh, he's going to be on air from 4 to 6. The radio station says sometimes you just leave it on all day because you never know when he will come on, yarn his dust. People just used to laugh at the guy and go. After a while, we just noticed that, okay, criminal elements were now using this guy as an excuse. The way when the North was saying, you see, things will happen. That even if you are guilty, you will now start getting sense. When the North was saying, look, this thing is not Boko Haram. I started to understand that maybe, like there are some parts of it that they know where Boko Haram does their violence, but this kidnapping thing looks different. And these are the issues. This man, we knew him. It was just to talk his yarn his dust and go. This was a sign of things that were happening under the Jonathan government. The Niger Delta had a few people. Asari Dokubo had this same rhetoric in the Niger Delta, true or false. It was the same thing. All of a sudden, criminal elements started enforcing his crackhead rules. Okay, now, it's the same thing when he laid claim to the post-EndSARS violence and said, oh, it was IPOB. Started making it look as if it was Igbo people that were destroying Lagos.
Dumb move!
It was the dumbest move ever. And I remembered on that YouTube comment section, Igbos were like, come, we did our house, so now even our shops, then they break into. And we're here like, what are you saying, bro? What are you saying?
Me, I don't say much.
He definitely collected money and changed the rhetoric.
On this platform, we don't spread propaganda or conspiracy, yeah. Mm-hmm. But if I spread my propaganda or conspiracy here,
But on this platform, you are free to say what is in your mind and what you've been thinking.
Yeah, what you've been thinking.
So please, Saddam, I would love to hear what you have in mind.
I really feel like, in my mind, there was a time prior to 2015 when they were saying Nigeria will break up.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
From the FBI to the MI6, the MI6 and the rest.
I don't know if it was John Campbell, the former American ambassador, who even wrote a book that said Nigeria would not last more than 2015. I think I want
Thank you. 2015 was the breaking point in their map. The map that they have mapped out for this country called Nigeria was the Western world was 2015. That was
if not for Jonathan's wisdom, he might have gone away.
If it was not for Jonathan's wisdom, if Jonathan had the greed of a Tinubu or a Buhari or an Atiku, Nigeria would have been up in flames by now. That is certain. And if you understand that in every war, out of every war, billionaires are made.
1,000%.
Out of every war, nations make billions. And if you understand what is under the soil in Nigeria, there's Western world that are tested, they are begging for blood.
Bro, don't you know that there's an industry called the war industry?
The war industry, yes. Yes. People they are soldiers at their work is that they are people that they are contract soldiers. They hire them. Even in the Biafra war, somewhere hired Ojukwu had to hire some.
Mercenaries from everywhere.
Mercenaries. Thank you. So when you understand that there are people that want Nigeria to break up today, maybe say may war happen, not peaceful breakup, violent breakup, as in real one, maybe say Nigeria go to burn, then they can come in with their troops, and when they come into their troops, same way they did in Iraq, and came in with their troops and put a pipeline from Iraq straight to Washington, D.C., sucking the oil and the resources of Iraq, while hiding behind a weapon of mass destruction that they never saw anything. You understand how delicate the move Jonathan did to hands over power in 2015 was. Jonathan saved this country. If he had made that mistake, of which he had every right to say that election was rigged, do anyhow like an African dictator and everything, and highest thing we will shout for 2 weeks. And they send the army to the street and everything. But there are people that were waiting for that move. And I believe those same people planted the man calling Nnamdi Kanu today. I believe inside me, they're the ones that planted, because they know that if Saddam stand up tomorrow and start shouting Biafra, Biafra, I bet you that I will raise an army. Because the Biafra is an ideology that can never be taken from the Igbo man.
Mm-hmm.
It is an ideology that will live with the Igbo race till the end of time. And there are people that will continuously be sympathetic to that ideology, no matter who is bringing the ideology to them. That's why a madman like Simon Ekpa right now still have some people listening to him because of what he's selling. Even though the person that is selling is the devil himself, what is he selling? So I believe, to answer your question, N6, I believe Simon Ekpa is working for the government. And when I mean for the government, I believe he's working for APC. I believe he is a stooge of Tinubu, in fact. I believe he's collecting straight money from Tinubu's camp, APC camp. While I believe that Nnamdi Kanu is working for international state actors. That is my 2 cents on this. And I yield the mic back to you guys.
Fantastic opinion. Let me just read one tweet sharply for you, Saddam. Roscon and Ube on Twitter said, when you try to annihilate a dominant minority and genocide and a program hasn't worked, you would use the age-old Judas to destroy them from within. Simple. Look at things this way. He filled a gap that was caused by the lack of Nigerian government presence and the militarization of the East. Beautiful. So please don't forget that you can also, we don't have the comment bubble open, but you can use the hashtag violence space and we will read your submission. So no matter if you can't, you're trying to get up in the speaker section and it's taking you time, please don't forget to use the hashtag and write down your opinion and we'll honestly read it out here. It's also as powerful as you coming up and giving your submission.
I just got one from Roasted Corn. Roasted Corn say a lot of people are not aware of Nigerian history outside their own enclave. Some don't even travel to other parts of Nigeria, so their ignorance is times 100. And oh my goodness, please, we're not trying to depress you guys here. We're just trying to pass the information to you guys. So many people don't even know that Ojuku's father started the NSE, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, as it is today. That it was formed by the man called Ojuku, his father Sir Louis. Someone just said, someone Olawale, I see your tweet. Also, Juku's father started the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Wow, yes, he did, my brother. So, guys, tweet with the hashtag the violence space. Quote the space. I think we're already trending. Violence space is already trending on Twitter right now. From my side, yes, APC is a terrorist organization. John Cross, I see that. Omar, I will yield the mic to you, so you just bring up our speakers. You know how you
Yeah,
this stuff.
yeah. I'm going to go to our speakers in just 2 minutes. Every time we're talking about violence spreading around the country, my mind goes back to this video.
I go backward. We must move forward. And I said that when you talk about change, the only thing that can bring a lasting change in this country is the implementation of the national conference that all Nigerians gathered to come up with a document and say that if we begin to do things this way, we'll change this country for better. These people who are talking about change refuse to participate. They say they will not implement it. So what change are they bringing? Every time you listen to them, you see the bitterness in their hearts. Bitter, hunger, as if somebody has taken their property. Venom. And I said that, look, you cannot give what you don't have. If you don't have a peaceful heart, a friendly heart, you cannot bring peace to people. For you to bring peace, you must be somebody who can forgive. Somebody who brings peace. It's not somebody who would ask people to go and kill that will bring peace. It will bring crisis to us. Especially now that society is so sophisticated.
So who fought a war and could not forgive the people of the region? That's a question I'll leave our listeners and our speakers today to answer. Maybe if some of them wants to touch on it. I made a list already. So sorry guys for keeping you waiting. You know how we normally do, have our usual exchange between us and then get into the thick of the conversation. So I have Chris, Dr. Olu, Dr. Nasa, Rex Benson, Pondo 07. If you're still on the speaker section, I'll take you soon. Chimeze, Gaboni, Aboki, Ebuka, Oladipo, Olawaski. So let's go with the ones in the speaker section already. Let's start with Chris. Christogonos, I believe. Good evening.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you, NCs. Thank you, Saddam. In fact, when you people started talking about the Kwashoko kids in Biafra, I looked at myself. I was one of them. I never had Kwashoko anyway. I would, give special thanks to my great mother. May her soul rest in peace. She fought and swore that none of her children would die of Kwashoko, and I am happy it never happened. I'm not here now to tell my life story, but I knew one thing, that Biafran war robbed me. I should have started primary school 1966, but I ended up starting primary school 1970. That is 10 years, starting primary school with 10 years. But that is another story, and I don't want to talk about it now. Now, there are other things I'm going to say here now that may not sound weird to other people. Please, if you don't want to hear it, you can tell me stop. I'm a Democrat. I can always yield my mic. One thing is this. I've known Nnamdi Kalu's family since 2001. Ever before he became an activist. I am so closely involved with this family. I admitted the mother in my clinic here in Germany 2 times. I sat at her bedside, and I know a lot about this family. Let me tell you one thing. Now, Nnamdi Kalu comes from Omahia Ibeku. I've been to their family house almost 3 times. His father was the Eze there. From his father's house to where Aguiyi is buried, where his memorial status is about 800 meters. The school Nnamdi Kalu went to is another 400 or 800 meters away from this burial ground. That is around Omahia GRA. His secondary school is also a little bit further. You see, you are a young boy growing. Every day you walk towards that and see this man's statue. Every day you walk past there, went to primary school, went to secondary school, grew up as a man, started looking for a job in Abuja, running at the scatter to make a living. You see no hope for you. You ended up going to England, struggle to get resident permit. Look, I've been in Germany for the past 39 years. I know all I went through before I got to this level. If you have gone that way every day, Omar, NCs, you may turn out one day to be another Nnamdi Kanu. And this is actually what happened. I don't want to go further on that history part now. But let me tell you one thing. I know I've only spoken to him on the phone several times, even before ever he started his activism, before he started IPOB. I am not a member of IPOB. I told him categorically that I don't like this movement you are doing. I don't want anything that can destabilize West Africa. This issue is a peculiar problem we have in every West African country. If the Igbos decide to, succeed from Nigeria, it will happen in Republic of Benin, in Chad, in Niger, in Ghana, in every other damn country, and West Africa will be destabilized. I don't like it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not a friend of the family. It has only to do with that. I continue to communicate with them. But the issue is this. This guy was going through there. He told me one day, look, if you are marching there, you've seen how this man was killed, and you come up and you want to survive and you are not given a chance, what are you going to do? But that's another story. There are other things I want to correct also. Nnamdi Kanu is not an agent of the federal government. He never received any money from anybody. Please, let's clear that first of all. There are incidents.
Yeah, but Christogonos, I'll step in for a second there, and I've paused your time. You have about 1 minute and 27 seconds left.
Yeah.
I would say that is your opinion. It is subject to scrutiny. People are going to come in and disagree with it, but it's fine. It's your opinion. It's not a statement of fact. Do you understand what I mean?
But I'm telling you,
might have insider knowledge.
The outcome might also differ.
Yes, you might have insider knowledge based on what you know. That's fine. But what you are putting out here is your opinion and not a statement of fact. I hope you understand that, sir.
Okay, let it be my opinion. But at the end, you will come out to be the way I said it. But the issue is that this Simon Ekpa, his name is not even Simon Ekpa. He's Ifeanyi Njoko. That's the name he bears in Finland. I don't want to go about it. I told you in People's Parliament that he is agent of APC. Omar, could you remember? We spoke about it.
Yes, I remember. I remember vividly. Christogonos, I'm very familiar with you. You've been a consistent member of People's Parliament Violence Space from day one. I remember very well. Don't worry.
Thank you. Now, Nnamdi Kanu has never ever met Simon Ekpa person to person before. It was just one time Simon Ekpa wanted him to speak, wanted to interview him on his YouTube and wanted to speak on the Biafran radio. He fought his members because they were against it. They said they never know this guy. He's not a member of IPOB. Don't say he's a breakaway IPOB, please. It's a wrong, narrative. They didn't want him to talk, but Nnamdi Kanu, calm down the whole, pacify them. Let me hear him first of all. At one point, he was believing Simon Ekpa until he found that Simon Ekpa is an agent of the federal government of Nigeria, and that was where.
But Christogonos, yes. Let me also challenge another thing that you said.
Let the man cook.
No, I'm coming, Christogonos. I want to broaden
help
your
him cook, Omar. Help him cook.
Don't worry. I'll give you more time to speak. Christogonos, it says Ekpa was named as the director for Radio Biafra following the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu. Was that true or not?
When Nnamdi Kanu was arrested, he wanted to bulldoze his way into the to IPOB. And at one point, people were believing him until they found out who is real Simon Ekpa.
But he broadcasted from Radio Biafra.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to talk much now because you guys have said everything. But we are planning a 1 million march in Finland. I am a German citizen, and I don't even hold Nigerian citizenship. I am just a German citizen. I don't have dual nationality. You don't need to be a European Union citizen to go with us to march there. Even if you just 6 months resident permit you have in Europe, you are allowed to enter Finland. And we will go there in January at his doorstep. I've tweeted that several times, to go and demonstrate in his doorstep.
I love it.
So please, don't let us not just mix too much of Nnamdi Kanu in this issue. I know the family. I am so close to the family. I'm not so friendly to him, but there is another family member that I talk to almost every time.
Mr. Chris, can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
I'm hearing you, please.
I want to confirm something. Are you aware, or is it a rumor that Tinubu was given a chieftaincy title by Nnamdi Kanu's father?
It is true.
It is true.
Yes.
All right, go on.
Can I ask a question, please?
Saddam.
No, please.
Saddam, I'm loyal to you. You know, say you're my professor.
Saddam, I love you. I love you.
Omar.
I love you.
Are you here with me? This is a masterclass.
Ensis, please. Stop cooking.
Chris, you, Dr. Nasser.
Omar, can I ask him a question?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chris, if Nnamdi Kanu comes out of prison before the general elections and says Igbos should not vote for Peter Obi, IPOB should not vote for Peter Obi, he supports Simon Ekpa's rhetoric, whether he has met Simon Ekpa before or not. If he just comes out today and goes against everything you swear he will stand by, would you still be obedient and vote for Peter Obi? And would you still go out and campaign for Peter Obi?
Ensis, let me tell you one thing. As I'm talking to you now, I've pumped a lot of money into obedience movement.
My brother, no vex, but I'm a broadcaster and I always arrange questions in an easy yes or no, and then you can break down.
I will still vote for Peter Obi.
No,
and I want to tell you one thing. I come from Imo State. Okay? I don't come from Abia State. I come from Imo State. I registered a number of people. I chartered the bus that took them to the local government headquarters to register them with my own money. I know how many people are registered because I said, if I can't vote, I am not qualified to vote, but I have to do something for Peter Obi. Most of the listeners here who know me are aware of this. And I spoke to the women leader yesterday. I gathered them. I told them, look, you are getting 10 bags of rice. You know how much rice costs now from me for December. But it is Peter Obi that is giving you that rice, not me. So please, it has only to do with being obedient. If Nnamdi Kanu is released today, which I don't think he's going to be released before the 29th of May, I'm quite sure about that. The only fears I have, because I have an intel report that IPOB has issued the federal government up till January to release Nnamdi Kanu because the court has freed him. And then, because they have already distanced themselves from any violence in the eastern region, they don't want to mix in. They said, okay, you have Peter Obi. Let us see what he can do. We don't want to disrupt his election. But if any other person is paid by APC to distract this election. It has nothing to do with Nnamdi Kanu. Please, leave this guy apart. And let him come out first of all. We are all fighting for P2B. I have, forfeited a lot of things for the past 4 months for this guy. Thank you.
Okay, Crystal Gunners, thank you very much. I'll not let us drag the conversation too much, but I appreciate your submission. We'll take other speakers now. Crystal Gunners, please mute your mic. It's a very interesting conversation, guys. If you're just joining us, it's the violence space. I'm having fun. It's been premium so far. Honestly, I love the fact that we had the engagement with Crystal Gunners, but you can scrutinize his opinion because everything he said is purely his own opinion. I'll give preference to Real Ever Best. Sincere apologies to everyone else. Real Ever Best, I think, is in a hurry. Real Ever Best, please go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're spacing from. It's an interesting time. I've been on spaces since morning. Saddam, NCS, Omar. Wow. The man, who is the man that just speak? Christus, okay. Dr. Nana, everyone, Otumba, Sweet Angel, you're here again. Archie, Ayodeji, everyone, Lamin, everyone on this space, I greet to now. Dr. Lu, I'm loyal. Please, this issue that we are discussing is it's a very sensitive one. For me, there is a lot happening, and all of them is actually targeted at Southeast. And the reason why it's important is for us to begin to take our mind back to actually the realities of our time and what we're actually fighting for. Because what we have said is that for P2B to win this election, Southeast is very important because we are saying he's coming with Southeast in his bag, Southeast at least, and South. But in the last few days, or just like in the past 1 week now, there have been an attempt to make sure that they suppress vote in the Southeast. So every attempt has been geared towards Southeast. Simon Ekpa just in the last few weeks, he has been making threats, and he's been making his threats real. And this morning, I just woke up with, El Mustafa, coming to spaces. And the whole story is also just about how to suppress Igbo vote. And I'm beginning to ask, where is all this coming from? Whatever anybody want to talk about Nnamdi Kanu, like, the man that was trying to say Nnamdi Kanu. Yes, I might not be somebody that will say Nnamdi Kanu collected money or something, but he has created a situation that will make people speculate and say, why? Because if he has not collected money, and if all these things he's saying, yes, everything he's saying is fighting for injustice, and like people have noted, Saddam and everybody, it's a non-fact. Igbos have been marginalized. We fought civil war. These things are facts, and our life has been destroyed for it. It's going to take us time for us to actually come out of it, and the only thing that can repair us fast is justice and equity. That's the only thing that can actually make my children not to talk about Biafra. I mean my unborn children not to talk about Biafra. And the only thing that will make is when there is justice. Anytime there is injustice in this land, anytime there is not equity, anytime an Igbo man comes out to vie for something that is due him, and for some reasons he's not giving that in, anytime Nigeria is not working, it's a reminder of where we're coming from. And when you look back at where you're coming from, you remember how Nigeria has been put in place, the injustice that happened, the civil war and the aftermath of it. That is what you're going to remember. And it will create people like Nnamdi Kanu to come to give voices to people who voice might not be heard, to say, oh, there's injustice here. And that is why today Nnamdi Kanu is larger than life. In his rhetoric became larger than life because there's a leadership vacuum that was created. And I've made this submission before that after the civil war, there's a new leadership that was created in East Nigeria. After the people like Nnamdi Azikiwe, Ekpa, all these people died, a new leadership was created. And this leadership were created by power outside Igbo land. And these leaders were not beholden to their people. They were beholden to those people who created them. And therefore, whatever thing they do, they respect their people. The latest in our time is the governor of Imo State. That is the latest creation of that powers outside. So there's a disconnect between the leaders and the people in the Southeast. And therefore, when Nnamdi Kanu came, Nnamdi Kanu became a voice to the people. And therefore, they resonate with him. And they tap into that injustices of the years past, which is the Biafran story and how a woman has been treated by saying, oh, you people have been marginalized and everybody respects him. Like Saddam has said, even Nnamdi Kanu has used this opportunity to actually create a leadership that will be beholden to people. Do, you know, from Abia State, Imo State, Ebonyi State, all these people, create a kind of leadership that will give voice to what he's saying, so that in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, we will see people that will voice the aspiration of the people. If he had done that, it would have been better for us. And if his agitation has been, oh, we don't have road in the southeast, we don't have airport, we don't have this. By now, some of those things have been put in place. But now one begin to wonder, Nnamdi Kanu, as learned as he is, how come he's actually talking about, is leaving something that is possible to actually talk about something that is not possible? When Nnamdi Kanu talk about Biafra, how is he going to get Biafra? Every student of international relations knows that you cannot just get Biafra just by speaking on radio or by creating radio Biafra. People contribute to it. You cannot get it. If Nigeria fought a civil war, when a whole region was under one man, every resources in that region was under his control, and we fought that war, we lost, and we came back to say we fought this war because that was mistake, we never prepared. And somebody want to fight a war today just by having a radio. You're getting people killed, and people are still beholden to him. And now that Nnamdi Kanu is not around, people say, oh, maybe Simon Ekpa. Let IPOB people come and suppress the voices of Simon Ekpa. Let them come and fight against those people who are now using their name to create problem in the southeast. Because Nnamdi Kanu created ESN. ESN was an illegal entity. He armed them. Where did he get the arm? So when you create such organization and arm them, they are illegal. Your enemy cannot penetrate there and cause a lot of havoc. If Nnamdi Kanu is learned, why didn't he know all this? Somebody has, in 2019, it was because of Nnamdi Kanu that Buhari at least had the second tenor, because he suppressed vote in the southeast by telling people not to vote. And people at the end of the day, either a month to the election, he now asked them to vote. Meanwhile, they have destroyed their PVC. And today, such rhetoric is coming up. Don't Nnamdi Kanu and his people, anybody, know that P2B's presidency is not even though it's not an Igbo president, but it's a president that will right some of this wrong. Why? At least the best he can do is to be silent. And I want his handlers, I've said this in another place, his handlers to come out, his lawyers to come out and say, we are distancing this man. I want his IPOB loyalists on ground to say, anywhere we see Simon Ekpa, we are going to kill him, we are going to do something to him. Because this thing is orchestrated. I want to believe that what is happening in the Southeast is being sponsored by APC, because the only way APC can succeed is to make sure they suppress vote, both APC and PDP, to suppress vote in Eastern Nigeria. If they do that, that is the sure way of making P2B not to become president, because P2B must come with this bag of vote from Southeast and South. And you now see a new trend of people now trying to suppress by every rhetoric. Nnamdi Kanu has created a situation that enemies are tapped into. I think Omar noted it. Buhari will kill everybody in the Southeast and he will not be satisfied. Buhari will kill everybody in the Southeast, he will not be satisfied, because Buhari is still hanging with that rhetoric of the civil. They are the ones who orchestrated. Buhari was among the people who supervised the Asaba massacre. So when you come in a time when Buhari is the president and you're putting your people, you're telling them that, oh, some people still believe that Biafra is going to come. Since 2014, opportunity has been given to Nnamdi Kanu. Create this Biafra. Let us know how you're going to create it. I remember, if you're from Southeast, in 2014, 2015, 2017, people were telling you Biafra is going to come. Biafra is going to come. Biafra is going to... In short, December 2018, my neighbor told me that Biafra, even this Christmas, before this Christmas, Biafra is going to come. He's a learned person. He's a PhD holder. It's not like he's a random person or... No, he's a learned person. People are bought into this madness. And that is why we are saying that our voice has to be more. And if people are coming to defend Nnamdi Kanu and saying, okay, good and fine, let him also speak. Let him speak through his lawyers. Let him speak through Michael Zokome. Let him speak through Fine or something. Let them come out.
Best. Let me excuse me, sorry to interject you. Let me give you some balance to what you just said. The IPOB Directorate of State, they released a statement 6 days ago. They said the Directorate of State of the Indigenous People of Biafra wishes to inform the Biafran people, with special emphasis on those in the homeland of Biafra, that IPOB leadership has neither called for any civil action in the Biafra land in the form of a sit-at-home on the 9th to the 14th of December 2022, nor did it mandate anyone to do so. Biafrans must be very alert, because we are in a very critical time in our struggle for freedom. We are aware that agent provocateurs on the payroll of the Nigerian government, in collaboration with some Igbo politicians, are working hard to thwart and sabotage the imminent freedom of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. So I don't know. They released a statement They're just kind of distances themselves from this whole Simon Ekpa thing, I believe. But I just wanted to give some balance to what you were
Yes,
saying.
but
Go ahead.
I'm saying that because when some of this statement is issued, people don't take it. People don't really. It's confusing. Who is the directorate? Who are they? Where are they? Let's
Do you
like Michael
understand?
Zuckerman.
Do you understand? Like, now wait till me say,
Listen,
because it's
listen.
just some Twitter account with some
Yes,
letterhead.
yes. Let's like Michael Zuckerman. After like a court session, coming out to say we spoke with our person today, we discussed with him. He said it's not part of this thing. This guy, this is what if Michael Zuckerman, like his legal team, comes out to say no, this man, we were with him, we went to see him, he said this and that. It will be more serious than it one Twitter account telling you they are directorate of this thing. Because if people will come and say this Samuel Ekpa or whatever they called him is not speaking the mind of Nnamdi Kanu, then people will take it seriously, and we can take it seriously. Because right now it's confusing. How can Samuel Ekpa is not speaking from this thing and he will give a command in South? In short, Southeast now people there will tell me. I had a friend who went to Lagos and he said, "Oh, when are you going to come back?" He said, "You have come back. You have to find out whether they sit at home." So it's something that people there actually are afraid of because they have seen people being killed for going out or disrespecting this order. So it's a situation that we have in our hand. But I'm saying that Nnamdi Kanu created this madness. He created this madness because for some reasons, and that is why the confusion came. Say, yes, this guy is educated, and if he's educated, how come he doesn't know these basic things? You're not going to have a nation by creating Radio Biafra. In short, the best way to have a country today, if you have all your weapons, yes, come out, fight Nigerian side. If you fight Nigerian side will kill 1,000, you kill 400 people. Then the international community begin to discuss about you. But if it's a situation where Nigerian government can actually take care of every problem, you just do something in Imo State, they go there and take care of it. Nothing is going to happen. The United Nations is not even ready for another country created because it's confusion, right? So, but if you don't have that, Nigerian constitution does not recognize referendum. Some of these rhetorics does not have basis in reality. So why do you want to get your people killed for nothing? You're not going to. This thing is not going to happen. Let us not delude ourselves that for some reasons Nnamdi Kanu is going to get us Biafra. It's not going to. Do I like Biafra? If Nigeria is not working today, if Nigeria is not working, yes, let us divide. I buy the idea. If Nigeria is not working, let us divide. Why are we here? It's just like marriage. If it's not working, people go their different way. But I'm saying as long as we still have an opportunity to repair this country, as long as we still have an opportunity to repair the broken wall, let us do it. Especially now we have a candidate that people for the first time, people from all parts of this country are supporting a man. Unfortunately, it's from Igbo extract. Let us know that in this time we have something. And there's something I've said. If these people that is perpetrating this thing, if they actually know that P2B is not going to win, then they should just leave the election to go on. At the end of the day, let them tell us, oh, we told you people that Nigerian state is not actually created to allow people like this to run. But because they know P2B might likely win, that is why they want to make sure they frustrate it. And I'm saying that, yes, even if they've not collected money, perhaps they are doing it to say Igbos until they suffer, the more we suffer, the more we come to believe in their agenda. And I don't know why you wish your people like that. There is no every Igbo man today that have lived in Eastern Nigeria that have not seen the effect of the civil war. There is no, your people will show you, oh, during the war, this thing happened. Oh, what happened in the secondary school I went to, the worst, go to the Methodist College Ozakol. It's still perforated, the worst. If you go to Castle Group of Dormitory, the worst are still perforated. And when you ask what happened, they say the civil war. Everybody lived through that trauma. Everybody lived through that effect of the civil war. But do we not need to die today because of no Igbo man should die again because of Biafra. No Igbo man should die again because, and it breaks my heart. I don't know. I don't. Maybe if I have this thing to speak again, I will bring. I don't know. I'll check for that book. I'll read you the names of people in. I keep saying this. Why we struck? There's a page that
Please get it. Get it. Real ever best. I'll bring you back up.
I'm going to get it. Before I speak it, I'll try to see how I'll get it. So this is what we are confronted in. This election is important for this time. It's important for our future in this country. It's important for what we want to become tomorrow. Please and please, anybody who knows Nnamdi Kanu, please, anybody who knows them, please talk to them. We are going to stand up by them. And like Saddam said, on election day, if they are going to kill us, they should be ready to kill all of us. So let us die and end this thing once and for all.
Thank you very much. Real ever best. I'll just read through some of the comments now so that we can carry those guys along as well, because not everybody is getting the chance to speak so far. Some of the comments. This one says, at what point in history of this country did they fight for its freedom, democracy, economic development, or peace? Okay, another person says, this is the time to rise above this madness. We have to vote. Voter suppression. Olawale says voter suppression is the only hope for the APC evil party at this point. More wisdom to all the comrades on this platform. Thank you, guys. Real Ever Best has just hit. Okay, Roast Con Dube says Real Ever Best has just hit the nail on the head. Leadership vacuum and injustice. Shikena. Well, interestingly, I don't know if anybody remembers, just some days or weeks prior to the Anambra elections, we saw some clowns on social media. Every time I remember them, I laugh. Please listen.
Heading for the move, you can see them in their various vehicles ready for war. War for the liberation of Biafra has just begun. Yes. Yes. These are the Biafra.
Sisu, do you remember these guys? They went inside one shop to go and steal biscuits.
I remember them. These are the clowns that take advantage of the Simon Ekpa statements and just get out of the house, carry their pump action, and cause problem 2 or 3
Did you see
streets
those
away.
videos at the time? I'm very serious. They had some kind of camp in the bush. It was on Twitter. I think they were around like 4 days or 5 days before Nigerian army caught up with them. I'm sorry, it sounds very funny to me because those guys, they went inside one shop. Did you see that video?
Another thing is here. While I'm big on we call out Nnamdi Kanu and everything, I am also trying to make sure we don't forget that everything going on right now, Nnamdi Kanu, the monster he has turned out to be with Simon Ekpa, all these little stooge and everything, is a creation of the APC. It was created by APC, created this guy, gave him this whole hero status. I don't know whether it's planned or unplanned, but I just know that this is what
the reason that's one of the reasons I brought up the case of these guys that they call themselves the Biafra National Guard. This was, I think, about a week before Anambra elections, just trying to prevent people from voting. They were parading themselves in some kind of funny cars, wearing funny uniforms, posting funny videos on the internet. And those videos
Remember, they were
surfaced from
busted
nowhere.
that the guns were fake. They were wooden guns
Yeah,
and all
God
of
bless
that.
you. The guns
There
were
was
fake.
no violence afterwards. They do this thing all the time.
Omar, if I come and tell you now that, if I come and tell you that election does not count in Nigeria, and you're telling me election counts, we're having this discussion, I'm telling you, election does not count. You say election counts. Then all of a sudden, election is being held in the region or in the states, and somebody wins. And after winning, they now go and do their own court. Then the person that came fourth was now pushed to number 1.
I've never heard that thing in the history of any electioneering process in this world. I've never heard.
That was when
that Hope Uzodinma election is probably the biggest electoral robbery in Nigerian history.
And that was the key Nnamdi used to tell everybody. I think I told you people the election does not count. That if you vote, vote.
How can someone who came fourth? Because
Lord, APC is a fucking terrorist organization. We keep saying this all the time, and we will, as we go on this space, we'll keep exposing all these things gradually for you guys to understand why we are where we are today. It did not just happen by miracle. Simon Ekpa or Ifeanyi Njoka's name did not just appear from anywhere. And guys, today, please on this space, if you know what we have to do to report a YouTube page, Facebook page, please come up on the space. All my tech guys, come up here and let us know how we're going to do it. Because before the end of this space, we must make sure that we deplatform that guy on Facebook and YouTube. If that's all we gain today, if that's all we do today on this space, we must do it. We must achieve it, all of us. I don't know how many of us are on the space already, but over 850 of us.
Yeah, like 850.
We must. And let me just read one comment. I think we should just, on the lighter note, Monica said, we should rename this space Wisdom Space because this is where you come to get wiser. All right, guys, let's yield the mic back to our listeners. Guys, go.
Okay, yeah, we still have a queue. Dr. Olu is next on that queue. He's been very patient. Thank you for your understanding. Dr. Olu, are you available now?
Yeah, I'm available actually.
All right, the good doctor. Go ahead. Good evening.
No, I'm your small boy. Well, the truth is, for me, I believe that the challenge regarding the issue of from the Igbo tribe is because Biafra, they see it as an ideology that has been imbibed and has been living with the section of the country for a very long time. And it's unfortunate that we have a government that has also encouraged the ideology and also encouraged the injustice that has been perpetrated against this section of people. And so it is so easy for anybody to actually try to rebrand or cajole and try to deceive people in believing in that ideology, because the government has not done enough to give them the level playing. And that is why this election of Peter Obi is more of an election of equity, justice, and fairness. The emergence of Peter Obi is a perfect opportunity for us to rewrite the history of this country. And it's unfortunate that, you know, the way our education is going, history, in fact, I don't think majority of schools now don't even regard history as part of the knowledge. And this is one of the things that developed countries don't joke with. People don't know their history. Personally, I am a Catholic, and I have a lot of Igbo friends. And I remember that time, majority of my church members those days don't even know their parents, because most of them died during the Civil War. And it is difficult for you to tell those kind of people to believe in a country that encourage such atrocity against them. So what is the way forward? The way forward is for us to actually have a system whereby people can feel among. And I agree with NC earlier when he said that the country is completely being governed by two different kind of mindsets. There is Sharia law in the north. There is conventional law or normal law in the south, which means that some section of the country still feel that they are superior to the others. So it's more or less like counterproductive kind of system. So Biafra is more of like people trying to fight against the injustice they believe that has been perpetrated against them for long, and the government is not doing anything. And that is why people like all this Simon Ekpa or Njenje, they are just an opportunist. I see them trying to capitalize on the people, on the naiveties of the people towards believing that Biafra is the way forward. So now the good news is that the emergence of Peter Obi has given us a different dimension of what we need to do. Because if you look at the whole political landscape and the political game, I think there is no any credible Igbo person that can actually pull what Obi is doing. And look at what really happened again today. The governor of Anambra State saying to Atiku that they believe they have two runners. He's one of the second runner for this election, trying to undermine Peter Obi in this race. So it also lets you know that number one enemy, apart from the Nigerian government, who has not been able to ensure that the justice is being served in a very cordial manner, another problem is the people of the region, especially the leaders, the people that claim that they are the constitutional authority. People like a governor of Anambra State, even the least you can do is to keep quiet. It is impossible. As bad as Buhari has performed so far, I don't think that if the governor of Katsina State has never for once condemned Buhari government. I've not seen a situation whereby the governor of Zamfara State has condemned Buhari especially. So just to let you know that the kind of mindset we have in different regions is completely one of our shortcomings. So my whole point is that what Saddam said now is, one, we should try as much as possible to report this guy's face, encourage people to believe that the way they can actually be served the justice that they are requesting is by voting a credible candidate. And as you know, Peter Obi is the most credible. That is the only way we can actually rewrite our history. If we have opportunity to have a very credible, sensible, intelligent Igbo president, 90% of our problem, 90% of this Biafra ideology is most likely going to be erased. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
When Labour Party come the rule, when Labour Party come the rule, oh, Nigeria go better. When Labour Party come the rule, when Labour Party come the rule, when Labour Party come the rule, oh, Nigeria go better. When Labour Party come the rule, when Labour Party come the rule, when Labour Party come the rule, oh, Nigeria go better. When Labour Labour Party come the rule, when Labour Party come the rule, when Labour Party come the rule, oh, Nigeria go better. When Labour Party come the rule, when Labour Party, when Labour Party, when Labour Party come the rule, oh, Nigeria go better. When Labour Party come the rule, oh, when Labour Party, when Labour.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
When Labour Party come the rule, oh, Nigeria go better. When Labour Party come the rule. 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 Labour Party, Nigeria go better. When Labour Party come the rule for North. When Labour Party come the rule for South. When Labour Party come the rule for West. Nigeria go better. For East. When Labour Party come. 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 Nigeria go better. Nigeria go better. When Labour Party come the rule. When Labour Party come the Labour Party. When Labour Party come the rule. Nigeria go better. When Labour Party come the rule. Labour Party, oh. When
Yeah, guys, I came across that banger, so I thought I should share with you guys. You know, I hope
On
you
our
enjoyed
banger,
it.
my brother,
Serious jam.
DJ Omar. DJ Omar.
Honestly.
You know, I just ran into it somewhere and I was like, this is really good. I should share it with the guys on the violence space. So please vote Labour Party, vote Peter Obi. Saddam.
My brother, you know, when you were playing that song, something came to mind. I was like, should I play the one I want to play? But I said, no, let's how you finish playing it. But we'll go back to the discussion, my people. You guys understand what we're doing here. I want someone send me something to DM and said, send me an article. If you understand what is at play right now, there's a media war. There's a media war at play right now. The two key stakeholders are fighting. You're seeing what's happening on Arise TV with the Tinubu faction. These are two media. These media wars at play right now. They are using everything they have at their disposal to fight this war. They just released an article today, right now. Just someone sent it to my DM. One of our mothers in the room sent me a mail to my DM right now from the Nation newspaper saying that discovered a bomb factory in Ebonyi State. Look at where they are finding all these things in APC states. It is always in APC states. APC, where there is problem in the Southeast now. Imo State, APC states. Ebonyi, APC states. These guys are just doing all these things for one person. Our job here is to open your eyes to understand. The Southeast will vote and will vote massively come next year. There is not 1 billion Simon Ekpa. 1 trillion fear-mongering message will not stop what is about to happen to Nigeria. The Southeast will speak and will speak loudly. You will hear the sound. It will be loud. No freaking amount of fear-mongering you guys want to spread to the media waves will be bought. The Southeasterners will come out with their might. Call them IPOP, call them whatever you want to call them. They will come out in their millions and they will vote. If it pain you, come out that day and say you want to stop people from voting. You understand the weight of the people. Omar, back to you.
Thank you, Saddam. Let's go straight to our speakers. Dr. Nasser has been waiting for a long time. Thank you for your patience, Dr. Nasser. You wanted to ask Christogonos a question, but maybe if he comes back up, you might ask.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I want to acknowledge the submission of Real Ever Best. He actually spoke many people's mind. So, but I want to come from this angle. It has been mentioned that being an Igbo person is a very difficult thing in Nigeria. From the way we are treated after the civil war, it should have been better if there is a lasting solution like reconciliation, reconciling and making these people to be part of Nigeria. But what did we get? We keep getting hate and so on and so forth, and not being part or inclusiveness. There was no inclusiveness of Igbo people in the government. And for Buhari to come up, having been part of those that dealt with the Biafrans during the Biafran War, and still having to mention that he will treat these people in the language they will understand, that kind of emotional statement, and so on and so forth, and calling us dot nation. It just keep pushing the narrative that Igbos are not recognized, that they doesn't even make any sense. They don't even make any kind of population. And whenever discussion or conversation is going on, they keep saying that we have a teeny tiny population that doesn't make sense in election and so on and so forth. Those things are part of the problems that is happening with an Igbo person. So, having said that, for you to be an Igbo person, you must have heard from your own parents, from your mother or your father, showing you someone or telling you about your uncle or your auntie that went that is being affected by the Biafran War. For instance, I know that growing up, my mother showed me a woman that is still waiting for her husband to come back from a Biafran War. This Biafran War has treated this woman so badly, and emotionally, he's still thinking that one day her husband will come home. So, and he did not remarry. People are coming to marry her, but she said, no, I'm still waiting for my husband. Even when me that was born post Biafran War, I grew up to still see this woman as